first turkey that ever came to me on the ground did it a long time ago. I sat there with my hands shaking and my breath short and my heart hammering so hard I could not understand why you couldn't hear it. The last turkey that came to me had the same effect, and the day that this does not happen to me is the day that I quit. The last one that ever does come to me will call forth the same emotion that the second one did. I will sit there waiting, gun up, and heart thundering, and say to myself what I've said on every single occasion: I'm glad I lived to see it one more time. It is, of course, a cult, and like all cultists, we tend to be fanatics, quick to take offense, defensive to the extreme, and impatient of reason and logic. A cult that accepts novitiates carefully rather than recruiting them. A cult whose members are mostly wet, often cold, and usually unsuccessful. We will be delighted to have you.
All right, so I'm at a pretty special gathering this weekend, and just to kind of set it up to frame it the way I see it. You know, when I think about hunting, and particularly turkey hunting, one of the biggest things I always come back to is tradition and relationships. And I'm not sure that there's a way you can put turkey hunting, traditions, and relationship in a better box than what you appear to have here. And I was tickled to death to get an invitation. I'm joined with Scott Branton and Steve Brown. And Steve, I've known Steve for a while. Y'all have heard Steve on another episode. Just outstanding turkey hunter, bow hunter, just outdoorsman, woodsman. He fits what we try to do on that podcast. And Steve and I, we talked about this, and like I said, I started asking questions a couple years ago, and I eventually weaseled my way into an invite. And I couldn't come last year. I had a conflict. I think we were in South Carolina last year.
I think that's right.
And so I was just made the point I was going to be here this time, and I appreciate you guys having me, and not just having me, but so when I RSVP'd, I said, Steve, now I'm gonna have recording equipment in the back in the vehicle with me if you want to, if you're willing, because I didn't know how private or how closed this thing was, and but I floated it out there, and here we are. We're at is it fair to call it a club, an event? What?
Yeah, I don't know, Scott. What would you call the 10th Legion that we have?
I would just call it a conglomeration of folks of different ages, but have one thing in common, right, and that is they love to turkey hunt.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
So this is a gathering known as the 10th Legion. It's an
named
invitation
after Tom
named
Kelly's
after
book.
you know, if you're a turkey hunter, then you're familiar with the term 10th Legion from Tom Kelly's his book, and this is an annual. Give me some background.
Annual. This is actually
how did this come to be?
Yeah, this is actually the 23rd annual gathering or meeting of the 10th Legion. This is something Scott and I talked about a long time. So we started 2002 is we had a small group, and I'll leave somebody out, but Trip Walker, William Hilbin, my brother Ty Brown, Scott, myself, Jerry Beck, Jeff Tyre, Randy Osborne, the late Randy Osborne.
There was 12.
Dear friend, it was 12 of us. Yeah, it was. And Shane Smith, dear friend of ours, and you're gonna have some Boston butt tonight. He smoked them himself down there in Yazoo City. But Clay Johnston, Brian Templeton. I think I may have gotten them all. If I did, leave some. Who's that? Yeah, Brad Dye. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Brad may float back in.
And Brad's going to float
minute.
back in here in a minute. Yeah, I think so. But Scott and I, I'm going to shut up, let Scott tell. We were talking in your office, weren't we?
We were. What had happened was with turkey season in Mississippi closing on May the 1st, and most places closed by late May, if not all of them. So here you are, and you're twiddling your thumbs for three and a half months. And Steve and I were lamenting that, dang, the season's over. I mean, we can't do this till next spring.
That's right.
And, there ought to be something we can do to extend this. And we got to thinking about the other people that we knew that enjoyed turkey hunting. And how, for me particularly, I was working in a kind of a confined area, and I didn't get out. Steve his job let him get out and visit more with folks where mine didn't. And I said, I think it'd be neat to hear what some of these other guys did, how their seasons went. And so Steve began to work on that part of it.
Yeah.
And,
And if somebody's listening, this predates social media.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so in this world today, that might sound foreign.
Yeah.
That might sound a little odd. Well, you just pull out your phone and you know every day how your buddy's doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't that way.
That's right.
No.
Right.
No, and so as we talked about it, we began to come up with some of these names of people that we felt like enjoyed it as much as we did. And hopefully we're thinking the same way we were, that, man, can we at least talk about the past season?
That's right. That's right.
And then it just, we had the first one, and I believe that was at your house.
Actually, yeah, first two
First
were at my
two,
house.
yeah.
And then we moved.
Silver Ridge.
We moved to William Hilbin's lodge at that
Right.
time. He was running a lodge and outfit out there, out at
Enos Road.
out south of town off of Enos Road. That's right, out at Starkville. And then we moved it to your house, and then to Brian Templeton's house, and then our buddy Jeff Tyre, and one of the charter members. Jeff had just built a brand new home. He was proud of it. We'd never had it anywhere outside of Starkville. But Jeff had built a beautiful home that he and Kim, and he talked to Scott and me, and he said,
He opened it up for the
he
group.
said, I'd like everybody to see my house. Can we have it one year here? So we did that year. All of us made a road trip, and we went to Jeff's and saw his beautiful home, and we cooked turkey that night, and I don't know how many were there, probably about 18 or 19 on that group, but we had it in Bentonia, Mississippi, and then we fast forward, we came back to I think Brian's maybe, and then fast forward, COVID hit, and we couldn't meet, and or at least we were thinking, how are we going to do this thing?
Yeah.
And we
Definitely
have
probably changed it.
Oh, it did, and so we normally have it on the second Saturday of June every year. That started because the first 2 or 3 times you call everybody that you wanted to come, and I want to come, but my kids got baseball.
Most of us probably spend May traveling and hunting, and then you get back June, you're catching up on all those things you didn't do.
Absolutely. So it was tough, and we finally just said we got to set a date. So that's where the second Saturday of June came in, but then COVID threw a kink in that. We couldn't meet, but we called Mississippi State, and they were gracious to us. We have a lot of graduates from Mississippi State, and we got Ole Miss folks here too, but a lot of forestry graduates. And the forestry department out there, it was Grant Hartman, Scott's son-in-law, who's here. He's out fishing in the lake right now, but he made a phone call. He's a forestry graduate, and he got us use of the Burkhalt facility out there, out on Highway 25. Now, it was hot. Woo, it was hot. We brought a fan in, and Scott had written his first personal memoir of his hunting adventures, and that book was called Dreams to Memories. Dreams to Memories, and he gave everybody attendance one of those books.
Look, quick side note: I've noticed as I'm meeting people here, and as y'all are talking about people, there's some pretty accomplished people in this group. It's a diverse group of people that there's a lot of stories in this room in this group is what I'm picking up on.
And tonight
it's a little intimidating because I'm just plain old Brent.
Well, I'm just plain old Steve, and that's plain old Scott. But tonight you will meet a lot of, and I tell them tonight when we welcome everybody.
Hall of Fame, new Hall of Fame inductees, is that right?
Hall of Fame inductees. We got 4 or 5 in this group. 2 new ones, Mike Giles and Mark McPhail. They'll be here. They're regulars. They don't miss it.
Leland.
Mr. Leland was inducted several years ago.
Leland James.
Mr. Leland James, taxidermist out of Sturgis, and a great turkey hunter, old school turkey. But what I was getting at is you're going to be in amongst the presidents. We not to say there aren't a lot of other great turkey hunters never been to this thing, but this thing will be slap full of some of the best turkey hunters in the state of Mississippi and even the United States of America. I mean, it's some great turkey hunters. We've got a Chip Davis who'll be here. He's a personal friend of mine.
We had Chip on another podcast before about trappers.
Yep, and Chip has completed all recognized slams: Mexican Slam, the U.S. Super Slam, World Slam, Grand Slam, Royal Slam, all that. And he did kill the 49 states for the U.S. Super Slam. Yep. So Chip will be here, and he loves it. And he'll
apparently.
Yeah, and he's going to actually tonight. He's gotten involved recently with the Turkeys for Tomorrow, and he wants to say a few words tonight.
Yeah, neat.
But anyway, that's where it started. Then we moved here. Hunter Atwood and the Atwood family have been so gracious to us. Hunter kind of got roped into this thing because he married one of my best friends in the world, Jeff Tyre, that was a charter member. He married his daughter Haley, and Hunter went on a turkey hunt in Mexico with me, a Gould's turkey hunt. We were enjoying the mountains and enjoying turkey hunting, and I said, Hunter, we've outgrown everywhere. I said, I wish we had somewhere to have the 10th Legion. He said, well, man, my family's got a lake house. It's in Kosciuszko. And he said, but it's a big old house out there on the lake. I said, that sounds perfect. I said, he said, I'll talk to my granddaddy and see if I can get approval. We got home from Mexico, had a great hunt there, and he killed 2 big old goose turkeys. And he was
that probably helped.
That helped. Yeah. So he went on, talked to Grandpa, and he called me back real soon after we got back. He said, hey, Steve, this will go. If y'all want to have it there. And so I talked to Scott and Jeff and everybody. And so 4 years ago, this is the 4th year it's been here, and so I want to personally thank Hunter Atwood and Jeff Tyre for.
Now, I'm not mistaken. Atwood's car truck dealership.
That's
I've seen
correct.
Those tags.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll throw a little plug in.
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
I've seen those Atwood dealership tags on some good looking Z71 over the years.
That's right.
Go see them.
Yeah, go see it. But Scott, I didn't mean to interrupt it, but he was talking about that. But what we kind of talked back in the first initial days before we ever. Would it be cool if this thing took off?
We couldn't imagine, though.
No.
When we said take off, we had no idea of where it has evolved to.
Right.
I mean, we were talking, a dozen people, and now I
75?
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve and I were talking earlier, and it fit. I made the point, and just an observation. It's neat that y'all formally get together and do something, but most turkey hunters will relate to this. This happens in the life of a turkey hunter every spring, and there's a renewal of relationships that I talk to people throughout turkey season that I don't talk to any other time of the year.
Right.
Like we'll start the phone calls and the text, and that relationship picks up right where it left off. And then, as turkey season fades out, at some point you have that last conversation that you didn't realize was the last one.
Right.
Until, but that's similar to this. And so to your point earlier, like it would be neat to be able to get together because, you kind of, once turkey season, kind of you go on about your business and your lives and those, you're connected to those people. And it's neat to have this to pull you back together officially.
This is kind of the grand finale.
Yeah,
I think of it as being that. Before we go into that lull where we maybe February 15th, which is the critical 11 hours of daylight, and you can about count on hearing a turkey on that day forward.
Yeah.
To me, this is the grand finale before we hit that in February. So,
We've been baking this turkey cake all season, and now that thing we done pulled it out of the oven, and now we're gonna put the icing on it.
There you go.
So we're gonna hear, and like you said, some of these guys that'll be here tonight, it's the only time we ever see them. The only time we ever see them, we love them, but life, everybody's busy working, cell
That's
phones
the tie
help,
that binds.
That's right. And we've got turkey hunters come to this thing now out of Alabama, come from all over. They and some of the older guys, we all look forward to it. But some of these older guys, they really cannot wait every year just to come, see what everybody. They've not seen any of us, and so it literally for a lot of these people is the only time we ever see each other, and it's find out what everybody did, find out if I had a good turkey season.
It's become a tradition.
It has.
What you do. So is there an agenda? Is there? You mentioned that Chip's going to talk some about turkeys from
Yes.
over the years, or what highlight reels from over the years have you?
Well, we always take a big old group picture, and that's grown, and we'll take one this evening. But the agenda is we just kind of when everybody kind of gets here around 5 o'clock, and we have refreshments, have water, Coca-Cola. Some of them got some old Scotch drinkers,
brown water.
Yeah, some old brown water. I'll have to partake in one of those.
The gobbles get more and more.
That's it. But once everybody's kind of gotten here, we feel like not going to get any more stragglers coming in. We still get some of those every now and then. We'll have just a rundown of how the food's going to work, where we kind of lay the groundwork for that, because we got a lot of people, and even though this thing's big, it's going to be packed in here. Yeah. Then we'll talk a little bit. Have just a real short kind of update, welcome some new guys. Like tonight, we're going to welcome you in person, tell them we did a podcast right before, and plug the Woodsman Perspective, and get them to, hopefully you'll get some new listeners out of this. Like, hey, they talked on about the 10th Legion right here. So we'll do a little of that and congratulate some folks on some major accomplishments, World Slams, Royal Slams, Grand Slams, Super Slams. Inductees into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame for the Outdoor Hall of Fame, and then we'll say a blessing, and then the rest of it is mainly just eating and visiting, and talking turkeys
on your own.
That's it.
Yeah. That's cool.
But we've done a lot of. You asked me earlier about philanthropy type stuff. We haven't done any of that yet. Except for we do have a little fund that most of the guys have been generous enough to contribute. Where, unfortunately, but it is the world. We've lost some of our really, really good members. So Sid Shaw loved this thing, and Robert Higginbotham was a dear member and friend of ours, and as everybody knows, Robert was on the board of directors for the NWTF, and but we've been able to send memorials and things like that, just to remember those friends of ours that love this group like we do.
Yeah, and I was thinking about what made me, when we had that conversation earlier, I was thinking, so there's cost involved and there's logistics, so if somebody got the idea and wanted to do something similar, it takes a little bit of effort. It takes some effort, but you get a few people together that don't mind.
That's right.
That don't mind pitching in.
You divide and conquer.
Yeah, that's right.
Divide and conquer. But it's a lot that goes into it. Brad and Scott and Jeff and all of us, we've worked on. We've got people add new folks. Say, hey, can I get in? Because it is kind of. You asked originally how closed off. There's nothing secret about it. We're not a secret organization. We're not really, or just a group of buddies. But it is. I think you have to have an invitation to get here. I mean, and you got to get an invitation. You either got to know a good turkey hunter, or be a good turkey hunter, or have some sort of connection to someone in this group. So we send out. We work on invitation list, the addresses, getting correct address all year long. We send out a formal address to this thing, and then hopefully folks will RSVP.
I tell you what I can tell I like about already is, and most of the guys here probably experience this, is all of a sudden I'm in a group of people where I'm not the odd purist. I'm surrounded by people like me.
Yeah.
I don't have to defend the way I feel about,
That's right.
And even within, I say that jokingly, sort of, because even within a group like this, people hunt different weways, but
That's right.
but we're all, I feel like, here because it means a lot to us, and we do it a certain way, and how you do it matters.
Right.
It's not just
It's definitely
that grip and grin photo at the end.
No, that's right. And a lot of this is named after and based on Colonel Tom's book, The 10th Legion, but you could also name some of our, Mr. Gene Nunnery, the old pro turkey hunter. I mean, I'm sure you've read it, got a copy of it. I have, Scott has. I mean, that's the way we grew up turkey hunting. And most of these guys that all of us are pretty much middle age, and we got guys that'll be here tonight that are in their 80s. But it's really cool that we've got some younger teenage
20s.
guys and in their 20s that, it's up to us to teach them how turkey hunting's supposed to be.
That's some of why we started this.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to find that point where, for me it is, and probably for most of us, where there was an aha moment where I realized what I've got, the experience I've got, and the way I approach some of this, there's value there.
Absolutely.
And I get a little cynical about the way things get done on social media, the way some of these cats hunt, but if I don't lean in a little bit, then I can't really blame anybody else. These kids are learning how to do it and how to hunt.
That's right.
They're learning it from YouTube.
And we got to be a better example. And that's another.
We got to wade in there and help steer them too.
That's right. We do. We got a responsibility to the wild turkey and all of that. But Scott you and Grant went down to
Florida.
Yeah, Florida this year, and Grant got his first Osceola.
He did.
You killed a big old giant down there too, didn't you?
I got a nice one.
That's the kind of stuff we love is turkey hunting. I mean, but Scott you just wrote another book. Talking about in 20 you gave out those books, but didn't you just write a new one?
I just got it back, and it's just an accumulation of stories. He figures in several of them. Steve does there, and they're not all just about turkeys. They're everything from rattlesnakes to deer to bears to turkeys and in between. But my job that I did for 37 years was one of writing. And that's the biggest thing I've missed about my job. And so I suppose that I've channeled that into this now, and I've found a second wind, so to speak. But
anytime you can combine your vocation and your passion, you're winning right there.
That's right.
Absolutely. And especially when it's, the beauty of it is most of my stories are not just me. It's got Steve in them, or it's got Grant, or it's got, other people. Bear hunting had 20 people, I reckon, 15, 20 people in there. It's all about, and I'm one of these people that I like to basically sit back and take it in and put it together and watch Steve work the crowd. He's really good at that, and I don't mean anything negative.
Well, I know.
You're very good at that.
I don't have a lot of talents, but that may be one of them.
Oh, it is. And so
It's
for me
definitely a talent.
to watch him do that, and yet then I kind of put it together, and then I'll show him what I've come up with, and he poo-poos some things, and other things he polishes, and so, yeah, together it's been great. It's been great.
Well, Scott, talking about Scott's books and stuff, and I don't want to get off too much of that, but Scott has written, and most everybody that is a turkey collector of whether that's just beards and spurs or literature or old turkey calls or things like that. But Scott has written some of the most famous books, actually. He wrote on Mr. Neil Cost, and everybody that's been turkey hunting 20, 25 years ought to know the name Neil Cost. He was probably one of the most, if not the most famous box call maker. And Scott went up to South Carolina, befriended him, and wrote 4 books on Mr. Neil. Yep, and then he wrote another, right after those, or during that same time, he wrote Pavo, hunting a oscillated wild turkey. We went years ago down there hunting.
His wife, my wife, me and him.
Yeah, all of them finished, the girls finished their World Slam. They actually didn't finish it until the Ghouls hunt in the Sierra Madres, but they both got their oscillated turkeys on that trip. And then being Scott, he wrote a fantastic first book to ever be written on hunting the oscillated turkey down in the Yucatan. So it was, and then Lovett was still alive. You can tell that story.
Yeah. Oh, I'd hunted a couple of times with Lovett down in Guatemala, which I understand you can no longer hunt. Is that correct?
No, no longer.
If you don't hunt with Steve in Campeche, you're out of luck. But
That's
no,
Brown and Company Outfitters.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm telling you. But Steve and I took our wives down there, and he and Brady and Mike
and Randy
Osborne, and then my son, who was 9, I believe, at the time. We took kids down there, and so Steve and I came away with a unique experience, I think, where we had children, we had wives, we had people that didn't hunt. Randy didn't hunt on that, neither did I on one of them.
Right.
But the point was that there was no resource out there to help a hunter understand how to go about hunting those oscillated turkeys. And so we talked about it, and in fact, his wife helped give me the title to that.
Because Maya's were hollering, Pavo.
Christy.
Yeah.
Right.
Christy and I worked together, power business, and that's how we ended up connected.
You're a lucky man.
Look, I slid in the first time. I'm going to throw a Christy Brown story in there. The first meeting we had with him with a customer, I come in there, it was in the spring, and I come sliding in there late. It was a meeting in Akron, and I live in Columbus, and I swung by the office, and it was shagging it, and we had our meeting, and we left out. I said, look, I apologize. I smelled like off, and I think I still had a dip in when I went in the meeting. I smelled like Deep Woods off. I said, look, I apologize. I was running late. I was turkey hunting before work. And she said, you have no idea how much I understand.
If anybody understands it, she does. Yeah, she does, because she's a turkey hunter, but she has lived with one for a long time. So, yeah. Thank you, honey. She's a sweetheart. But I'm super excited you're here.
Yeah,
you're
I'm fired up about it. I appreciate it.
This is real cool. I want to step out and get, can I slide out and get my headphones set to somebody? I think Jerry Beck or Jeff or somebody would like to get another different perspective while they're here.
Whatever you want to do.
Jerry, you want to come over here and put these things on and talk to Brent a little bit? Tell him what you think about it.
And if you happen to see Brad Dye out there.
Yeah, Brad, is he coming?
Brad will be back here.
Yeah, he'll be back here in a minute.
No, once again, I'm Jerry Beck. I ran up with Steve Brown back in the late 80s when we were in forestry summer camp together.
I got you to start with.
And, we instantly became friends because where I came from, up in North Mississippi, we had a few turkeys, but not very, very much to do. And Steve and I hit it off just right away and became best friends and have been ever since. I get kind of emotional about that sometimes, thinking of the friendship that we do have.
Yeah, and look, I'm telling you, I don't know, I don't mean to overstate it, but I mean, it's pretty neat. You know, that's what's special about something like this, is that it's a renewal of something you just formalize and you do every year, and you do it very intentionally, and that's a cool part of it.
Well, we started this, and I think my son missed the first 2 or 3, but when he was about 12 years old, he came to the first one there. I think it was at Brad Templeton's house where he came, and Mr. Sid Shaw had some calls of his, and he turned to Jake and he looked at him and he said, "Son, go pick you one out first." And Jake went and got one of Mr. Sid's calls, and he has that put up. I don't know if he's ever hunted with it, but you know, that means a lot that this group of men welcomed my young son into something like that and just baptized him right away.
Yeah, when he walked through earlier, I got almost, I guess it's akin to getting starstruck. I felt like I knew him because I'd seen him in so many pictures on Steve, you know, on social media. Steve.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I felt like I knew him when he came through.
I kid Steve a lot, and I tell him I did have a good boy until he got a hold of him and runned him. But he is quite the young man, and I think he's going to follow in the footsteps and do it with his.
Yeah. And so y'all both been a part of this thing.
Oh, yes. I was one of the original members there in the first 12 at Steve's house, and I felt very fortunate to be involved in that. Of course, I live a couple of hours away. I live up in Corinth, Mississippi, so we don't get to get down and get to see everybody that much. But what this does is this brings back the relationships that you get to see with everybody every year, and you get to relive your hunts again, ask each other how they're doing, how their family's doing. And as you mentioned before, that was before the days of social media, so that was our time to catch up.
Yeah.
And get back with one another. And I'm just like Scott and Steve. I cannot believe how this thing has blossomed into what it is now.
I think it's something to be said for the fact, too, that social media has not usurped this get-together.
That's a good
Right.
point. That's a good take.
Right.
That yeah.
It's still valid.
Yeah. Because I can tell you this, and not to draw maybe a poor comparison, but coming through COVID, social media and the ability to stream and connect digitally, that usurped church. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I mean, and that's kind of to the point you make. It's real easy in a lot of things to let that virtual experience and that, you know, that be good enough. Yeah, that's
but
right.
It's not here.
That's right. That
It's not dented this get together.
yeah, that validates the value of it. I would, and of course this is my first one, I'd challenge you. I bet it's grown it. That's
think
how
it
I
has.
found out about it.
I think it has.
Yeah, it probably
I
has
think it
expanded
has.
your reach.
Well, it's
grown it.
expanded it so that, you know, for the most of the first years, we, each of us would prepare something for a meal, and we would all bring together as a hodgepodge and come in. And it's gotten so now and gotten a large enough group that we've had to amend how we're doing the meal, but we'll still have a great meal and great fellowship around that tonight. And it warms my heart to get with a group of men that don't mind contributing and doing something like that and doing a wholesome event.
Yeah.
That is, is there where you're welcoming their children.
Yeah, a lot of the situations, a lot of the settings where you're able to get together with other hunters, a lot of times it's, outside of an actual hunting camp, and that's one of the things we've talked about a lot, is that camp relationship, or that camp experience is going away real fast. You can't get it very many places because we're in a hurry. Life is all about us. Life is just a series of conveniences. Now, we've got it pretty good. So that camp life is kind of going away. But, shoot, I lost my train. I forgot where I was going with that one. But it just, it validates that value on that.
Well,
that get together, that social experience, and that it's a gathering of like-minded people.
Well, that's part of it, that more or less our generation got to experience as children and everything else. Is when you went to hunting camp, you got the other half of the hunt.
Yeah.
You got the camaraderie. You got, the interactions with the other hunters. Now we're all, even myself, if I need to know something or try to do it, I'm bad about pulling the phone out and Googling it or seeing what to get instant gratification. Instant. Yeah. We've gotten spoiled to it right there at our fingertips. And like you say, this is something that is hanging on, and I hope it continues to do so, because we will have quite the gathering of people here.
Yeah. Well, and where I was going earlier, so most of those gatherings, if it's not in the hunting camp, a lot of times it's around a banquet.
Yes.
It'll be around an NWTF or a DU banquet or something like that, and that's a completely different environment. And not to knock any of that, but it's to get together with another purpose. And that's not to say you couldn't do some philanthropy things if you wanted to, but it's not the agenda when you get together. The purpose of the get-together is the get-together. And that to me is, that's big. I don't think you can understate that either. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think you not having seen that yet to make that observation is pretty astute.
Well, I appreciate it. But that's what attracted me to it when I saw it. Like I said, I started seeing some, I mentioned earlier, a lot of circles I end up in. Like I'm just that a little bit weird, a little bit of a purist. I approach it a little different, and you get, everybody can hunt their own way. I got a certain way I like it. I don't like to tow the decoy around. There's some things I don't like to do. I'll crawl if I need to, but purist may be a stretch, but you end up, a lot of people don't get it. And it's pretty cool. Like you can see right off the bat, well, it's probably a group that gets it. There's probably a group right over there that I don't have to explain myself around.
Yeah, I would say that you don't have to explain yourself to anyone here.
No.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
You may be the purist, and someone over here may very well use the decoys and may do other things that you and I tend to be in your corner on that, but that's just not part of the way I like to hunt. But you know what? I don't have a problem with that.
I'm the same
either.
way. I appreciate you pointing that out. I was going to say that too. Not that, like, I'm not bothered necessarily by the way you do it, but don't be bothered if I say I don't.
Yeah.
Because that goes both ways. I'm not attacking you when I say I don't.
And you will be supported here.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what I'm talking about.
That, you won't be ridiculed. You'll be supported. Yep. Because, we're all individuals. We have our own way. We share a common theme of what we like to do, but how we accomplish it is our own goal, and how we set our own things up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. I can smell the grill when the doors coming was open and closing, and I think everybody's probably about to get busy cooking and shuffling around, and some of you guys may be hitting the shower. I think they've been fishing and piddling around already today. So
Did you show that in there?
Yeah, bring that in here.
Come in. Scott had that made for us, and of course he gets to house it in his home.
I'm gonna put it up here where you can see it on the camera.
Celebrating our
And that's-
hunting heritage.
Yeah, good food, lies, half truths. That sounds like a turkey camp to me.
No, no.
Yeah.
There's some good whiskey over on the other side. Good whiskey.
Yeah, fine whiskey and tall tales. Second Saturday in June.
so
I'm in.
That's good. Thank you for coming.
Shoot, man. Thank y'all for the invitation. Thank y'all for letting us do this. I
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And I'll probably be floating around later with the camera a little bit to pick up a little bit as the situation allows.
Right.
All right.
If 70, 70, 70 speed, now 80, 80, but 80, 80, but 80, now 200 speed, now 10, 10. Do it again at 10, now 20, 20, 220, 220, 220, 210, now 20, 20, 20, now 30, 30, but 30.